Aloha, and welcome back to Transfer Talk. As you know, my name is Travis, and I'm here with my co-host, Dr. Schwab. This series is called Major/Concentration Tips and Tricks. It is all about the random little unexpected things that can and will pop up. As you enter your concentration, it's a good idea to have a firm grasp of what will be expected of you during these 2 years of study.
Yeah, thank you, Travis. So some of the majors and concentrations that you can look into include things such as business administration. And within that one major, there's over 6 different concentrations that you can choose from. Or let's say humanities, for instance, which has a concentration in English, history, and Hawaiian Pacific studies. So I personally can't iterate enough. Know your concentration and the big picture of what this course of study is going to look like all the way through your senior year. And I also have to add that your course of study may change while you're enrolled, so be prepared to adapt as changes are made to the requirement of that specific concentration. You should never have to take more courses than required, but the titles of those courses may change throughout the journey. So just keep up to date with what your course of study entails for you to get to that graduation point.
That is some fantastic advice, Dr. Schwab. And I'd like to add that we plan on having student testimonials from each one of the major concentrations. So stay tuned for these episodes because they will have key practical information that may help save you time and money.
That's correct, Travis. Ultimately, the goal of this series is to provide practical tips, current student insights, and clarity while you navigate your journey at UHWO Oahu. So stay tuned.
Aloha.
And we'll see you soon.
All right, so today we're doing something a little bit different. We're flipping the script a little bit. I got Dr. Schwab and Anuhea asking me the questions today. I'm in the hot seat. So what do you got for me today, guys?
Yeah, as you guys know, Travis is one of our distance learning students who had a major in the humanities. He had a change in majors, and he ended up being a history major at the end, and he's been doing a great job. We're interviewing him to find out what are the tips and tricks for students who are looking at the humanities. So Travis, why humanities and why history?
Yeah, Dr. Schwab, that's a really great question. Why humanities? Well, UHWO Oahu offers a variety of programs via online distance education delivery within the humanities. So I started as an English major, and I quickly decided that that wasn't necessarily for me, and I've transitioned into history, and it's been amazing ever since. Ultimately, I view history as the perfect middle ground between the humanities and social sciences. So you get to dip your toe into some of the theory of social sciences while still maintaining a strong foundation within the human focus of, well, the humanities.
Awesome to hear that, Travis. I've been with you on your journey from the beginning here at UHWO Oahu, but you're coming up on your last semester. That's super exciting. So in hindsight, with your first semester, is there anything that you would have done differently to finish faster or be more on it?
Yeah, for sure, Anuhea. I would recommend all humanities students to take the Humanities 300 or the Humanities Seminar class during their first semester at UHWO Oahu. And I say this because in that class, you get to meet the majority of the faculty in the humanities at UHWO Oahu. You get to see what their research interests are. You get to see what classes they like to teach. It's really an awesome opportunity to find the people that you want to work with throughout your time at UHWO Oahu. And taking that class motivated me to become a history major. By meeting the history faculty, I realized these are my people.
It's really good, Travis. I think it's so important for you to get a good survey of all the concentrations and you kind of find out what resonates with you. And once you find out what resonates with you, what you can be passionate about, it's really going to make your courses of study so much more meaningful. So that's super good advice right there. So speaking about memorable classes, tell us a little bit about some of the classes that had a big impact on you.
Yeah, Dr. Schwab, I would definitely say History 363, U.S. Pop Culture with Dr. Kealani Cook is definitely one of those classes for the highlight reel. You get to learn American history through a different lens. And, generally speaking, I would say Dr. Cook's classes are amazing from top to bottom, and I would highly recommend any student to take one of his classes. Another class would definitely be Asian American History with Dr. Kim Kompak. Another fantastic class that, again, would recommend all students in the humanities to take, regardless of whether or not they're a history major. And then to break out of the history department for a second, I would definitely say take a class with Dr. Pak. Dr. Michael Pak teaches in the English department. Yeah, I love that guy's classes. So he teaches a rhetoric class that I took, and he teaches intro to literary studies class that I also took, and both of those classes were fantastic.
Thanks for sharing about those awesome classes. Makes me kind of want to go back and be a UH West Oahu student myself. Being a humanities and history major, there are probably some unique graduation requirements, course requirements that happen within them. What are some things that people that are interested in becoming this major should be aware of and be proactive while planning their educational journey?
There's a few things. So first up, we have the language requirement. As a student within the humanities, you have to take 2 levels of the same language. The intro level usually runs in the fall semester, and then the second higher level runs in the spring. Now, if you want to take a class that is not the quote-unquote typical languages that are offered, you might run into an issue where the higher level, the second level, doesn't run in the spring. And then you're stuck in a situation where you might have to get a course override, and that's a whole long process, right? And you want to avoid that if possible. So my recommendation is take the intro level in your first semester at UH West Oahu. That way you have a safety net in case that second higher level doesn't run in the spring. Then we also have to look into the complementary requirement. And basically what happens here is you have to take 2 courses from one other area within the humanities. I'm a history major, so you would have to take 2 upper division classes in English, or I can't think of the other concentrations right now, but you would have to take 2 other upper division classes. I would recommend that you do that a little bit later on. And then lastly, and this is kind of generalized because I think every student at UH West Oahu has to take an ethics class, but choose an ethics class that's going to apply to what you're going to be doing. I took a business ethics class because I wanted to gain vocational skills. UH West Oahu also offers a research ethics class that if you're going to be doing a lot of writing and a lot of research, that may be beneficial for you. So choose something that fits your goals and your parameters.
That's all great stuff, Travis. As you know, we like to ask a parting question to all of our interviewees. And that question is, what are some of the insider tips or advice that you would give to a prospective history student?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question again, Dr. Schwab. You're coming with great questions today, guys.
I try.
So, tips for history students. First up, get comfortable working with primary sources. Primary sources are the content that comes from the actual time period that you're studying, and it brings validity to your writing. A good example would be if you're doing a project on a former president, find a speech that they gave from their time in office. That's a textbook example of a primary source. Also, history uses Chicago Manual of Style for their citation method. So when you transition out of KCC, you're used to using MLA. You want to get used to Chicago Manual of Style, and I would highly recommend to take some time and go back into one of your previous papers that you did here at KCC and change all the citations that you did over to Chicago Manual Style to get the feel for the mechanics, to really get to know it before you have 3 or 4 papers due at a single time and you have to learn the citation method all at once.
I just want to add to that. I think that the UH West Oahu Library website also offers a lot of tutorials about different citation methods. So I think you can either find an online workshop or reach out to a librarian to point you in the right direction to get more support on that as well.
Tied in with the Noyau Center, be sure to reach out to them if you have any questions. Doesn't even have to be about citation methods. It could be about writing. It could be about anything. Reach out to them. They are super helpful. I've gone to them many times. Highly recommend them.
It's all super good advice, Travis, and I would definitely recommend what you're saying to prospective students. Are there any practical ways that you cataloged your data or software you used that made the writing process easier? I know in my studies I used software such as Zotero that made the actual citation process more organized and easier to input into the documents.
So nothing necessarily for the citations themselves. Let's say I'm reading a book and I find a quote that I know I might want to use down the line. I'll log that quote with a page number, all the information that I'll need, with both the footnote and the bibliography citation at the end. I'll also tag that quote with key terms. So I'll do like hashtag US Empire. And then if I'm writing a paper later on and I need to find whatever quotes that might apply to US Empire, that's a very general tag, but you just search that PDF and then all of your quotes that relate to US Empire are there. You just scroll up and then boom, right there you have the citation pre-made for you because you took the time to do it.
So you kind of had a running annotated bibliography going throughout your research that you could fall back on when it came time to actually writing the report or the paper.
Every major assignment I try to do that.
Yeah, good stuff.
Sound like a super organized and on it student, which I was not that, but something I could learn to be and grow from. Once again, Travis, thank you again for letting us flip the script on you, answering all these super tough questions. You did a great job, which is why you're an A+ student. I know that. Yeah, thanks again for your time. I appreciate it.
Of course, thank you guys.
Yeah, thanks, Travis. This was great.
Today we're sitting down with Anagen Manipon Hamada. Anagen and I go back pretty far. We had an English 200 class together here at KOICC. Those were some good times. And I gotta say, it feels like I'm reconnecting with an old friend as we record this. It's wild to think how far we have both come. So Anagen recently graduated from UHWO with a bachelor's in public administration. Congratulations, man. That's an awesome achievement. And mahalo for coming on the podcast. I know you've got some great insight for the listeners.
I got to add to that. I first met Anagen when he was working for Waialeale, which is a program that provides financial assistance and resources to students to attend school here at KCC. So it's great to have Anagen here with us today, sharing his insights into his academic journey as a student who also transferred from KCC to UHWO. So Anagen, to get things started, can you share a little bit with us about your journey at Waialeale and how this also inspired you to help students as they navigate their academic journey?
It's great to be here, first off, I'd like to say. My time at Waialeale, well, let's go all the way back to when I first applied for the project, because you don't really get to work for it until you are a part of the project or a part of the program. It was my older sibling, my older sister, who first applied for the program. When she applied and she was very successful, it inspired me, so I applied for the project. I got her help, and seeing how good she was in the program, the leaders of the program, the coordinators, are like, okay, we got to have this one come on as well. And so during my first year at KCC, they really helped me, not just financially, but academically. They connected me to a lot of resources. And then after that, I felt so inspired to want to give the same back to the program. And so I joined the program as a peer mentor. And I got a bunch of kids, and then we helped them out, and we got them through their first year of college. And I've been working there for about maybe 3 or 4 years until I had to leave because I was no longer a student worker. Yeah, working there, it was super great. I got to meet up with a lot of the faculty here, and I got to connect with a lot of the people that were also resources to me, not just to the students I mentored, but they were super, super cool. And one of those resources was the transfer people, and they really helped me out and make that smooth transfer from KCC to West Oahu. And so I'm really grateful for that. I'm grateful for the program, and it's helped me better reach out to resources and get comfortable knowing people and talking with people. So yeah, that's my time in Waialeale.
Waialeale is such a great resource to have on this campus. The services that they provide for our students are absolutely amazing. I'm always interested in why people choose their majors. So our next question is, why Puba, and what drew you to that program at UHWO?
So I always kind of had this idea that I wanted to serve the public, and what means I wasn't really sure at the beginning, but then thinking more into it and talking more with family and friends, they're like, oh, you're a very strict, very black and white kind of person, and you would be really good in this kind of field, laws, written in stone kind of things. And then they're like, oh, well, I think you'd be a really good police officer. So I took that to account, and then of course there are other possibilities, other careers I was looking at, but policing was the one that really stuck to me. So I talked to the transfer counselor for West Oahu, Anohea, and she told me, what's your passion in life, or what do you see as your profession or your career going forward? And I was like, I always wanted to be a police officer or something to do with law, whether that be a lawyer or law enforcement or anything like that. And she's like, okay, great. I can put you into public administration, focus on justice, because that's exactly what they're focusing on. Laws, all these things, law enforcement. Kind of based my transfer and my further education on that recommendation from Anuhea, and it's been very, very positive. When I went through it, it was super awesome. I learned a lot about that particular career, that particular profession, and so yeah, that's kind of my main motivation as to why I'm going into that particular study.
That's a great story, Anagen. We really like to hear when students are pursuing their passions when declaring a major, and it looks like you're on the right track. Let's take it back to your very first semester at UHWO Oahu, when you're just getting started. Is there anything that you would have done differently, or is there anything that you wish you would have known when making that transfer?
So my first semester experience was very hectic. I had no idea what I was doing, and it was kind of the first time where I had all online classes. Before it was either asynchronous or not asynchronous, but synchronous, always meeting or in person. And so I was like, wow, now I'm doing everything by myself. I have to study all by myself, and I don't really meet up with anybody, so there's nobody or no time frame to keep me locked in or like regularly scheduled meetings. So that was a big adjustment in the way I had to learn, because all my life I've grown up learning either in person or with somebody there with me. And so that first semester was kind of hectic. I had to really adjust the way I learned. I had to really be responsible and monitor myself and be like, hey, you got to do this assignment. It's due by the end of this week. And I find after working in Waialeale, when I had to help students mentor through that process where they had to move from in person or synchronous to asynchronous, it was very hard for them. And so I kind of found just monitoring yourself, calendaring everything, making sure you understand when things are due and stuff like that. If there's anything differently I would do, I think use more resources is something I would really have wanted to do, because to this day, I still just want to do everything by myself. I'm like, nah, I can figure it out. I'll be able to figure it out. I'm smart enough, but most of the time that's not true. But yeah, I just wish I had used more resources, talked more to my counselor, my actual counselor, my public admin counselor, talk more with my teachers to help me out, because those people are very, very important when it comes to furthering your education and getting the most out of your classes, out of your courses. Just talking to people and talking to resources, even the transfer counselors here, they're very, very good resources for you to use, and I wish I'd used them more frequently than I had.
I completely agree.
Mm-hmm.
Especially during that first semester, I also wish that I would have reached out to more support faculty as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also a lot like you in regards that I just hunker down and I lean into discipline and get everything done on my own. But you got to be able to reach out for help when you need it. And that's one of the core themes that we've brought up throughout the podcast, is finding that support system. So here's my favorite personal question. Are there any memorable classes or professors? In other words, what made it into your highlight reel, or who do you want to give a shout out to?
Oh, there's quite a few. Going back to my first semester, there was a class I took. I can't remember the name of the class, but I remember the professor, Robert Fishman. He was super cool. I was smacked with work in that first semester, and I was, like I said, trying to get used to that asynchronous kind of feeling for classwork. And then I remember completely missing a test, like one of the big tests. And I was like, oh, damn, I missed the test, man. And I was like on the verge of like, oh my God, I'm going to cry because I missed it. But I emailed him, I communicated with him. I'm like, hey, there was just so much going on. I totally missed this test, and I'm super, super sorry. I mean, no disrespect, and I mean not to downplay what your role is for us students. And then he's like, hey, just calm down, man. Just cool it. Yeah, it's all good. And he's like, yeah, I don't think most people even did the test. So you're all good. You're fine. And so I'm like, oh, wow. And then in the end of the semester, I got like an A in that class. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. But yeah, that's one of the main people that really come to mind. Another person that comes to mind is Anuhea, of course. She was very helpful, not only in just getting me into the program and starting that journey, but also supporting me throughout, keeping me up to date. You really, really come to appreciate it the more that you think about it and the more you go through it, because it can be a lot of things piling up on you and you tend to forget. So I really appreciate people like Anuhea and the people at transfer counseling over here, because they really help to keep you focused and intact with your education.
That's a perfect transition into our next question, actually. Are there any unique graduation requirements for public admin? What should students thinking about Puba be aware of?
Towards the ending, when I was talking with my counselor, there was kind of a scramble for me to finish certain requirements. I remember one of them was like writing intensive. You have to have a couple of that, but multiple degrees require that. And then there was one on like social diversity or something like that. Or ethics class, something to do with ethics. So just be aware that if you do plan to go into the study of public administration, that there are 3 writing intensive classes and then like 1 ethics class that you got to take. But that was the kind of scramble that I had to do at the end. And luckily I found the class that covered both of those things at the same time. So I was like, oh, thank God.
Nice.
And then moving a little bit into like the practicum or the senior project, that was a hectic experience for me because I chose a very broad topic to talk about. And so I had to narrow it down as to what specifically I wanted to focus on, because I wanted to focus on the homeless issue within the state. And so when I first brought it into my instructor, she's like, okay, that's a little bit broad. Can you like narrow it down a little bit more? And so she really helped me out with that. And I got to focus on like the particular policies that the governments have on homelessness, like the federal government, state government, local governments, and things like that. When you're doing like a senior project, you might want to think about a very particular kind of focus that you want to do for your research. As for like a practicum, I can't say too much about that because I chose the senior project. You have the choice of doing a senior project or practicum. For practicums, I find they're a lot more easier to present on because you're just basically presenting your work. There's a lot of positions open like in government. If you want to do a public admin, there's a lot of like places you can just move into or like do a little bit of digging into and then work in some places in government. But I find that those presentations were very informative and they're very interesting to listen to.
That's really good, Anagen. What I kind of really like about Anagen is that not only does he give us insights about his journey and who he is as a student, but you take so much time to actually give back as well. So it's like you're not just on a journey on your own. You're like, I'm on a journey, and then how can I also help you on your journey? So I just wanted to give you a shout out and say thank you for all the hard work that you've done here on campus at KCC and giving us these insights today. It's been great having you here today, but we like to end with one final question. We like to ask our guests, do you have any parting words of wisdom or advice that you would like to leave for incoming Puba students?
The biggest piece of advice, I kind of already talked about it earlier, but use your resources. I cannot stress that enough. Use the transfer counselors here at KCC. Use the West Oahu counselors. Use your professors. Use anything that you can use your hands on because they are very, very informative. They really, really are helpful. And like I said, I wish I used them more, but the support that they give is incredible. And I wish I dug more into that, but I cannot stress this enough. Just use your resources and take advantage of anything that you can, because there are going to be some times when you struggle and it gets hard, but there are people there to help you and want to see you succeed. So yeah, that would be my final parting words.
You heard it here. Reach out to your support system. I 100% agree. Anagen, mahalo for coming on the podcast. I know this is going to help so many students. And congratulations again on graduating. This was great. I'm really glad we had the opportunity to reconnect. Ultimately, please know you've made Kauai proud, and I know you will continue to do great things.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Anagen.
Thank you, guys.
So now we're sitting down with John Schaafstall. John is a cool dude. I first met him at the Spring 2024 Student Research and Creative Work Symposium, where we both presented. He had this really interesting project about the pros and cons of legalizing gambling here in Hawaii. This past semester, John graduated with a bachelor's in public administration, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you've also worked as a tutor for the Noyao Center as well.
Yes, that is correct.
See, we get the best guest on the podcast. Mahalo for taking the time, John. This is going to be fantastic.
Yes, it's great to have you here with us today, John. I was able to attend John's presentation also at the symposium like you were, Travis. You had some very interesting ideas when it comes to gambling and what role or non-role it can play here in Hawaii. It's a very interesting topic. So if any of you out there run into John, make sure you take some time to ask him about it. You received your degree in public administration, which many refer to as Puba. Our first question is, why Puba and what drew you into that program?
Well, for me, it's kind of a personal question because Puba is dealing with a lot of government work and government programs, and growing up, my dad worked for the state. Seeing him work for the state and seeing the things that he was able to provide for our family, like he had healthcare for our family, he had his own retirement. Just growing up, especially in a Christian household, it's just how can you love on others? How can you serve on others? And so all my life, I was always looking for kind of a career that I could, help people or serve people. So one of the first options that I was thinking about was nursing. Another opportunity or another option, I guess, that came to mind was government work and being able to serve the people, not even as a representative within the politics, but just as a government official, that the work that I could put into and the way that I could administrate things that match my own values and the values of the community to really just help people around the island.
Our relationship with our community is so important that we actually represent their values, that we go out to make life better. What the famous saying is that all ships rise with the tide. And I think we really need those public servants that are in it to make a difference. And I can see that you're one of those types of individuals.
It's always great to hear the inspirations of why students pick certain programs. And John, I relate to you on that level as well. My father also worked for the state of New York, not Hawaii, and my mom did as well. So yeah, it's great to hear the inspirations behind those decisions. When thinking about your first semester at UHWO Oahu, is there anything that you would have done differently, or is there anything that you wish that you would have known?
I think I would have liked some preparation in managing the classes a little bit better, because going from KCC to West Oahu was a little bit jarring because COVID had hit and we were doing a lot of the classes through Zoom. But when you go to West Oahu, at least for the Puba program, it's all asynchronous. And so it's all textbooks on your own. It's all watching lectures on your own, if you even get lectures. And it's all doing all these weekly things. Going from having that teacher that is with you twice a week to going like that, you're rarely going to interact with the teacher at all if you don't contact them is a little bit hard. So I think I would have liked a little bit more preparation for that.
Let's get into some of the classes that you took or some of the professors you took classes from over at UHWO Oahu. Are there any memorable classes or professors that might make it into your highlight reel?
Oh gosh, I can't remember his name, but the professor for Puba 309 and Puba 475, I had him. I believe he's the county prosecutor for Honolulu. He's a very, very smart man. He's very good at his job. And the way that he conducted his classes was very awesome too. Every week he gave us a court case. This is the thing that I liked the most, was he would give us a court case that was related to the chapter in the textbook. So you have to look at the court case and figure out, what is the defense saying, what is the prosecution saying, and figure out how that relates to all the different concepts that you learned in the chapter. And it was a very fun way of applying what I was learning. You'd read the chapter and be like, oh, there's all this stuff. But then you read the court case and you're like, oh, that's where you use those concepts, because I think sometimes they just throw words at you and throw concepts at you and definitions and stuff. You're like, I don't know what any of this stuff means, but then you get to read the court case and you're like, oh, this goes here and this goes here. It's kind of like a puzzle. And so it was really, really, really good figuring that out.
Yeah, that sounds like a good class. One of my favorite classes at another university I went to, we actually had a guest lecturer come in this summer, and he was coming from Harvard. And this guy was brilliant. He was like one of those former child prodigies and just knew the law inside and out, and really brought in some great debate into the classroom and made you think very deeply about certain things. So I've been in that situation. It's really cool. Let's move into some of the practical information our listeners can use when navigating a degree in public administration. What should students know before embarking on that journey?
I think one of the things that you should know when you're going into Puba, it's that it can be very tedious to research certain things, because a lot of the stuff that you're going to be writing about is you're going to be writing about some government agencies. For one of my classes, I had to write about the FDA. I had to write a term paper about it, 12-page term paper about the FDA. One of the hard things about that, if any of you have navigated any government website, it can be very hard to find information sometimes. It's locked behind links, and you have to click this to get there, and then sometimes you just end up back on the homepage. And so when you have to research these things, it's important to keep in mind that you're going to run into a lot of dead ends, and that some of this information can be very hard to find, but you can't give up.
Fantastic advice, and that actually leads into one of our next questions. So John, as a tutor, what is your best advice for students who may be struggling with their studies?
Don't feel shame. I've been there before. I think a lot of students have been there before, where they look at an assignment, they look at a chapter, and they think, I don't understand what this is. We've all been there. Nobody's perfect. No one just looks at the chapter and is like, oh yeah, I got this, right? This is easy, 100% A plus. Nobody's ever done that before. There are going to be times when you are going to struggle. You're not going to understand stuff. But the difference between you and the person who doesn't seek help is that you're willing to say that, I don't know what this means, but I want to know what this means and I want to learn it. So I'm going to go out and find the resources and talk to the people so that I can understand this problem that I'm having.
That is some of the best advice we've heard so far, John. Thank you so much for that. You also spoke at Kauai CC's commencement ceremony. Can you share with the listeners the core theme of your speech?
The core theme of my speech was that when you're going through life, you're going to come across challenges, you're going to come across trials, you're going to talk to people, and all those things are going to shape who you are today and who you are going to be, as well as the different skills that you've required through your work or serving in the community or even your degree in studying. My question and the main point of my speech was, what are you going to do with those skills, those things that you have learned, the person that you've become? What are you going to do with those skills? How are you going to give back to the community? How are you going to give back to your family? What are you going to do in the workforce? Because growing up in a Christian household, one of the big things is there's this idea that when you are living through your life, you should be producing fruit. There should be ways that people can tell that you are impacting the community, that you're going out and doing stuff, because it says that if you don't produce fruit, I cut you off. You're done. I burn you, because a tree that doesn't produce fruit is no good. So what good is the skills that you have acquired in life and learned if you don't go out and use them in your community or even in the workforce or just wherever that you want to apply your skills? If you don't go out and use them at all, then it's just a waste.
Yeah, I think one of the really cool aspects of education is that our goal as educators, our goal as a university, is to really equip students with the tools and skills so that they can take those talents and, like you said, they can bear good fruit. They can go into our communities and make a lasting change so that we're building upon this body of knowledge, and every generation, hopefully, things are getting better, no matter what the news and the politics of the day might say. John, one of the closing questions we like to ask our guests is, what are some parting words of wisdom you would give to incoming public administration students?
Really talk to your professors, because a lot of them really are experts in their field and experts in Puba. One of the teachers that comes to mind, I'm not sure if he's still over there anymore, but Professor Fishman, Robert Fishman, he was an excellent teacher and he had a lot of experience in government. I think he worked with 2 of our past governors here in Hawaii. He has years and years and years of experience within the government, as well as the educational credentials. So not only is he educated, but also he has the practical experience to back up the things that he says. Pick at his brain if you take his class. And then even in any class, I mean, you're paying these classes to get these textbooks, to get these lectures, to talk to these teachers, right? You're getting access to all these resources with all this money that you're paying. So really talk to your teachers, talk to your professors, and pick at their brains, because, I mean, that's what you're paying them for. So take advantage of that.
I couldn't agree more. One of the overarching themes of this podcast has been reaching out and making those connections with faculty. So, John, you're right on the money. And I want to say again, mahalo for the fantastic advice and insights. I know this is going to help so many students. And congratulations again on graduating. You've made Kauai proud, and I know you will continue to do great things.
Yeah, thanks for being here, John. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome back to Transfer Talk. I have Anuhea with me today, and we're sitting down with a very good friend of mine, the one, the only, Alohi-chan. Alohi is currently a distance ed creative media major over at UHWO, and she has an amazing story to tell. We're in for some good laughs and some great insight. Mahalo for coming on the podcast, Alohi. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. So can you share with us a little about your journey starting here at Kauai CC?
So I started here back in 2016, but I took a big gap year from 2016 to 2019 because I had a child. So I came back in 2019 and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do something creative. So I switched my majors from liberals to creative media. And through that, I met a lot of cool people and I got lots of cool experiences that I don't think I've ever thought that I would have before. Like I was able to go onto a movie set and be a PA and just meet a lot of really talented people through the program.
Nice. And PA is production
assistant.
Nice. Okay. Very cool.
And that's just with the creative media here at Kauai Community College, right? You got to
Right.
do all those. That's amazing.
Very cool. So I think I met you right around the time that you came back to school. So like 2019, right?
Mhm.
So I graduated with my associates in creative media around that time. And during that time, I was working for the Department of Marketing and Outreach. And I know you eventually wound up working there as well. So can you tell us a little bit about that experience?
Yeah, so I didn't know what I wanted to do, and one of our mutual friends, Jen, she came up to me and said that they were looking for a graphic designer, and that's something that I was doing on the side. So I took it because I was like, yeah, I can get some student work and make a little bit of money and be here on campus. I'm already here every day. So I took the job and it changed my life.
I love that.
So let's dive into that a little bit, right? So working for the Department of Marketing and Outreach, that's some great hands-on learning. Did that experience give you like a leg up, so to speak? In other words, when you wound up transferring over to West Oahu into the creative media program there, did those skills that you learned here working for the college, are those skills applicable to your program at UH?
Oh, for sure. Working here at the college, we did a lot of video, audio, everything, photography. So moving over to creative media, it was a little too easy.
Okay.
So I took my first semester and I had like 6 classes. And it felt too easy to me where I kind of was like slacking off because a lot of the things I already knew how to do. And that's all because I was already working and doing everything professionally as a student here. And so, yeah. I don't know.
So the work was that you were doing with the marketing department at Kauai Community College was super relevant to the work you were to the classes you were taking at UH Oahu. So it made it super easy.
Yeah.
And almost too easy because these were real projects in your student work job, as were these at class were kind of made up for you to learn from, right?
Right.
So different pressures. Awesome. So when thinking about your decision to transfer, so you finished your creative media AA, what made you pick UH Oahu and creative media? What about that program interested you?
Well, I was always into arts growing up, so because I didn't want to leave Kauai, I decided to do online, and I saw that West Oahu had this program that I was able to do, and so it wasn't exactly what I wanted because I was always like a fine arts kind of person, but I know that I got really deep into like the technology, like photography and like working on computers instead. So this actually worked out perfectly for me. Because of the way the world is going nowadays, you kind of have to make the switch over to like graphics and working all on the computer. So to do it from home just worked out perfect.
So the fact that this program you could do online on Kauai and not have to leave where you're already living was one of the biggest factors that drove your decision. And to continue in the arts, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great stuff. And I totally agree that going to school online, it gives you a different skill set. Right, like it makes it so that after you graduate, you're able to seek out those types of jobs that are remote jobs. It's a really good skill set to have, especially nowadays.
Yeah, and I think it's a good program to do online because most of the stuff you're already working on the computer. So just doing it from your comfort of your home or from Kauai and not needing to go and try to find your place in Oahu or anything like that.
Yeah, totally. Awesome. So keeping with that first semester, it can be a bit of a challenge for transfer students, right? So is there anything that you would have done differently, or is there anything that you wish you would have known during your first semester over at UH West Oahu?
I made the mistake of, so when I started at West Oahu, I had just looked at the programs, but I didn't look which were specific for online. So I made the mistake of doing design and media, which is not a program that is actually online, solely online. So it cost me a little bit more, and I was then told that I needed to switch over to general media because that is the program that you can do online.
Yeah, I think that's really important to emphasize for all the students that may be thinking about creative media over at West Oahu, is that if you want to do the distance option, you know, it has to be the general one, right?
And the reasoning behind making sure that you do the creative media bachelor's degree with the concentration in general media is they want to make sure that you can finish the program within a reasonable amount of time, and they know that not every single media and design or video game design class is going to be online for you to finish in a prompt manner. So as long as you pick the general one, you still get to pick like your elective. So if you're interested in that specific like graphic and media design, then you can pick more of those classes. But the general one, you get more of a wider option of choices. So that's the reasoning behind that as a distance ed option.
It's kind of dependent on what's offered when?
Yeah.
Okay.
And because they can't guarantee that all the video game classes are going to be offered in a certain amount of time for you to finish within a reasonable amount.
Makes sense. Yeah. So are there any memorable classes, professors, or projects? Like what has made it into your highlight reel so far? Or who do you want to give a shout out to?
I took I think it was a music audio class or something like that. And I had this project where our teacher, I can't remember his name. He gave us video clips with no audio on it. And we had to make the audio like they would for actual movies.
That's really cool.
To make the score for the movies?
Yeah.
Music scores?
Not just the score, but like the scratching noises or just the
background.
walking.
Oh, when we visited the campus, they have that full room where they like use to make the specific different sounds with like the wood boards and like the shoes.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's called Foley. So we
Foley.
had to make the Foley for our project, for our final, and I thought that was a really cool class.
Yeah, you got to make the Foley for people's like Instagram content videos now, yeah.
I've seen like videos of people doing that, and it's like never what you would expect. Like they always use these like the most random stuff to make the sounds. It
was like really cool because it was so creative. You got to go rub different textures and hear what it sounds like, or like crinkle up paper and hear if that like matches. And then when you try to do like a stepping scene and you have to match the footsteps, and it was difficult, but I thought that was really awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like a realm of creative media that most people don't even think about, but it's totally integral to movies and soundtracks and all those kind of things. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. Also, I don't know if you kind of covered this already with your whole making sure you pick the general creative media, but I said, are there any unique graduation requirements for creative media? What should students be aware of? Program requirements, graduation requirements?
Definitely get your classes as soon as you can because those classes go really fast. When you're looking for electives I think it's over 300, 200, the classes go by like really quick. And if you need it for concentrations or anything like that, they don't offer too much a semester. So it's hard if you're trying to finish out. Make sure you look at the classes before your last semester and make sure that you are able to have enough classes to finish out.
Yeah, the 300 and 400 level, you have to have so many upper division credits to graduate.
I think it's like what, 27?
45.
Ooh, okay.
I think.
Something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Cool. So me and you are kind of at the same point in our journey. We're seniors. We're getting close to finishing up. So do you have any ideas for your capstone project that you can fill us in on?
I do not.
Not yet, because I think you're in the spring, right? You have one more semester, you'll spend this semester maybe thinking about it.
Yeah, I'm taking my pre-capstone class this semester, so then I'll figure out what I want to do probably this semester.
Gotcha. Okay, nice.
Probably something along the line of making a video.
Very
like a short film?
Yeah.
Cool.
Very cool.
Awesome. Well, just learn a little more about you because, you're not just a student, you're a person. What else besides work and school are you up to these days?
I'm the Hawaiian Club president. I work here at Kauai Community College as an RCUH employee.
What's your title? Grants?
I'm a grant assistant with Title III.
Perfect. And you're also a mom. I know this because our kids go to the same school.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And I'm also a full-time mom.
Yes. You got a lot on your plate, girl.
So for those still on the fence about signing up for creative media, what would you say to them? Let's put those marketing skills to work. What would be your elevator pitch?
Just do it because if it's something that you really like, it's something that's very easily accessible here. Just come talk to Anna Hale and she can help you sign up. And if you're already got 2 years down here with your creative media or even just your liberal arts, just go and do it because you can do it from home.
Right. And just to reiterate, if it's something that you enjoy doing, you're going to be the one doing the work in the classes. So if you want to continue in this creative route, this is just a good leeway or a good avenue for you to continue honing those creative skills.
So do you have any parting words of wisdom or advice that you would like to leave with our listeners?
Don't procrastinate on your classes. Do your best.
Register early.
Yeah, register early.
Great stuff. Great practical advice. I love it. Alohi, thank you so much again. This was great.
Thank you for having me.
Mahalo.
Today we have a legend on the podcast, Sharla Foster. Sharla is a math and English tutor to the stars here at Kauai CC. Sharla and I go way back. I want to say I met you in, the spring of 2019, 2018, somewhere around there?
Around there, yeah.
And since then, we've been great friends. She doesn't hold the fact that I can't add 2 + 2 against me. So, Sharla, it's awesome to have you on the podcast. And can you tell us when you graduated from UHWO and what was your major?
I graduated in the spring of 23 with a bachelor's degree in psychology.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, you've been working for the tutoring center for a while, right?
Yeah.
So can you share with us a little about your work with them and what inspired you to help students navigate their academic journey?
I've been working at the tutoring center since, I think, fall of 2016.
Wow.
And I was hired as a math tutor originally. And it was basically just trying to help students navigate that anxiety that they come up with.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, math anxiety is totally a thing. And so a lot of students, they weren't clear on something, or they just totally lost what the instructor said. And so it's like, okay, we can go over this, no problem. And it's just guiding them through it again, like a rehashing of the lesson that they went through.
One of the major things is, especially with math, it's really dependent on your experience with teachers, especially in secondary school, the foundation that you have. And I think one of the major things that changed for me when I took Math 100 here was you in particular made the experience fun to learn math. So are there any memorable or funny experiences that you have that you can share about life as a tutor?
The memorable ones tend to be those aha moments where things finally click for a student. And one that comes to mind is I was doing a group session, and the assignment was they had to figure out their grade based on everything in La Lima, and then figure out what they needed to get on the final to get the grade they wanted. And one particular student, he was holding like a solid B, high B, low A, and he was stressing over it. Was totally worried he was going to fail the class. So we went through everything, and I told him, okay, look, we're going to put this in as if you had a 0. You overslept, you missed the exam completely. And we'll see what you get. And it dropped him like a letter grade to like a low C. But that realization that he could totally mess up on his final and he's still going to pass the class. That peace of mind knowing that you're going to pass no matter what. And I still remember that because he was so excited and just so relieved.
That's awesome. And like, think about it too. When you know that going into a test, you're so much more confident, right? Like you're relaxed, you're not stressing out. And I guarantee that student did better on the final knowing walking into that room that I'm going to be okay no matter what.
Totally.
Yeah.
There's that ease of mind, peace of mind that you go in and like, I'm going to be okay.
Yeah. The clarity, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I had that moment too when I first started taking classes. And that particular class, I was doing a solid A and I was still worried. And so it's like, I went through everything and I did the numbers and I was like, okay, I can totally bomb this final and I'll be okay. I'm still going in and I'm going to try and get that A, but knowing that no matter what, I'm good.
Yeah, nice. Maybe that's a good transition to my next question. As a tutor, what would you say your best advice is for students who may be struggling with their studies right now?
One thing I always tell students, don't forget to breathe. Because you become so fixated on getting everything right that if you get something wrong, you fixate on that. And so you end up screwing something else up. And it's just a downward spiral. And I tell people, relax. Skip a problem if you don't know it, come back to it later, and breathe, relax. For students struggling with the process itself, it's come in early, come in often. We can help you. It's, we're not going to sit there and judge you like, oh my God, they don't know this. No, we want people to come in. We want to help them. And for the most part, it's usually like one thing that they're not seeing. And once that clicks, everything's like a domino effect and everything else clicks in place for them. For me, the one thing I always tell students, don't forget to breathe. You knew this going in, you know it. When you draw a blank, just relax, breathe.
Yeah, that's great advice. I love that. Second part of that, come often, is so true. I'm living proof of that. When I took Math 100, I was in the tutoring center pretty much every day, it felt like, you know, and that dedication, that time in paid off because I did well in that class in the end. And I owe a lot of that to you, of course, but I 100% agree. Everything you're saying is spot on and great stuff.
I remember telling you, it's like, no, you know this. I have faith in you, you know, and that's what it is. It's a lot of times it's that self-doubt, and it's like, nope, you got this. You know, I remember holding tutoring sessions between math lessons in that classroom because everybody would stay after, people would come in early, and it's like, no, we can do this right here. You know, so we don't bite. You know, we want to help you out, so please come in.
Yeah, and it's very important to make tutors part of your support system. Like, it doesn't just have to be your professors, your advisors. It could also be tutors.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we're there. The instructors don't have their office hours, so come in, and sometimes we're the less intimidating ones.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so go for it. Come in, and even if you just want to introduce yourself, figure out what the tutoring center is all about, do that. We're glad to help.
Yeah, just come talk story. All right, so let's pivot over to your time at West Oahu. When you decided to transfer over, why did you pick psychology? What drew you to that program?
Being a tutor, I realized it's not always just helping students with math. Sometimes it's talking them down from a metaphorical ledge.
Yeah.
And I realized I really enjoyed helping students out. And so it's like, okay, I want to be an academic advisor. Marched myself down to the one-stop center and went to see him. And there I was basically, I think I met Pua. And I basically asked her, what can I do to get your job? You know? And she was like, okay, come here, we're going to do this. And so my options were majoring in psychology or sociology. I was all set to major in both. I was like, hey, this'll work. I can do both. And people were like, do you really need to do both? It's like, well, no. It's like, so why add to your stress? And it's like, okay. And so looking it over, somebody told me, well, psychology is a more versatile degree. It's like, okay, that works. So, picked one. But that was what it was. It wasn't any deep-rooted interest in psychology. It's like, this is going to get me where I want to go. And so it's like, okay, we're signing up for this.
No, but that's really awesome that you knew exactly what you wanted to do and you found the pathway to get there. That's amazing. That's awesome.
Well, it surprised me too. When I first started, I was like, I have no clue what I'm doing, but I'm not going to figure it out at home. So let's come to school and find out.
During that first semester over there, is there anything that you would have done differently, or is there anything that you wish you would have known going in?
One instructor had like his own website, which totally threw me off. And so by the time I adjusted to it, it was like an 8-week course, and there was no way I could recover. So for me, it was like, if I had known ahead of time what I was getting into with that class, I wouldn't have taken it. But other than that, it's the support system is there. You can ask questions and everything. And I actually enjoyed it, with the instructors that were there. And, some of them were there, call us. We'll meet, FaceTime, whatever. Let us know if you need help.
Nice.
I was like, cool, okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Are there any ones in particular or any classes in particular that you want to give a shout out to?
I really enjoyed Richard Castillo's courses. I took 2 of them. One was Witchcraft, Magic, and the Supernatural. And this is a psychology course. And the other one was also by him, Culture and Mental Illness. So you could, and it was interesting to see how different cultures view schizophrenia even, and it was just really neat to read up on that one. Kehlani Cook, history class, got to give a shout out. His was a class I wished I could take in person. And I mean, you just look at his courses and they fill up so fast. That should tell you how popular it is. And then Kanoa Merriweather, he handled my senior project and was just there every step of the way, which was great because it's like he's talking you down from that ledge. It's like, look, don't panic over this. It's like, okay, I can do this. And then Dr. No, Carmen Nolti Odiambo. I took a fairy tales and adaptation class, and I loved it. It was just, something different. Her class enabled me to get published in Bamboo Ridge because it was an assignment I did for her class.
All right, so you brought up 2 things that I wanted to ask you questions about just there. So first up, let's talk about your senior project. What was the topic? What was your process? And what did you take away from that experience?
I did the effects of peer tutoring as my senior topic. And for me, it was personal because I'm seeing the effects of it. And what I did, dug up every peer-reviewed paper I could find, and like printing them. I honestly thought I'd run out of ink in the library printer, just because it's just printing like 50 pages each time. But for me personally, it's like I wanted to have that hands-on copy so I could highlight it, mark it, like, okay, I want to use this in the paper. And I had so many Post-it note tabs on my paperwork so it looked like confetti sticking out of it. But, this is how I organize myself. It's like, okay, everything in section 1 is in blue, everything in section 2 is in orange. And so you get stressed out no matter what you're going to do.
Of course. Because
you're trying to find everything you can, and sometimes you can't find it. But for the most part, I enjoyed it. It backed up my experience in what I'd seen. So for me, it was like, yeah, okay, this works. I wish I could have done more on it. More just doesn't exist.
Capstones are interesting because you spend so much time beforehand thinking of topics, right? You're brainstorming different ideas, different approaches, and then you have a single semester to put that paper together.
Yep.
And that sounds like a lot up front, but that time goes so quickly.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And you think about it in another way. You have PhD students that work on their dissertation from day one all the way through till they graduate. And that could take 4, 5, 6, 7 years. Yeah. Capstones are a little stressful,
Just a little.
but it's a really important experience to go through because it's the culmination of every approach, every lesson that you've learned at UHWO, and you get to put your own voice on it.
Right. And that was one of the things Meriwether stressed. He goes, look, we know you can write a paper. This is you showing that you can write the paper, how you organize everything. He goes, the topic isn't as important as the process. And I was like, okay, I can manage that. You know, after stressing out, what am I going to write about? You know, do I have enough information? And finally he was telling me this, and I was like, okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
You know?
That's really great advice. I'm glad that you said that and he said that as well. Yeah. So, you also mentioned that you were recently published in the Bamboo Ridge Press.
Yes.
So can you tell us about your piece, Choke Flowers, and the overall experience of getting published?
I had to be talked into it because...
Sorry.
No. It was the paper was based, we had to rewrite a fairy tale and place it in Hawaii, you know, somehow. And so I rewrote Red Riding Hood, and it's heavy pigeon. I was happy with it. And the instructor wrote back and said, hey, you should submit this. And my thought was, she says this to everybody. And so I actually had to meet with her. And she goes, no, you know, it's like, I don't say this to everybody. I think it's, you know, you should do it. And I still wasn't convinced. And so one of the other tutors, Thomas Iannucci, had his story, boy, and he wasn't sure if he wanted to submit it. And so I was like, fine, I'll submit mine if you submit yours. Fully expecting them to accept his and not mine. And well, they accepted mine too, and I was like, hey, wait a minute. It was a surprise for me. It's I don't think it's still sunk in, even though I've seen it, you know, in a hard copy cover. It's like, okay, you know, didn't expect that.
That's amazing, and that's such a great story behind it. Like, you wouldn't know that unless we had this conversation. And if anybody's listening and you want to read this story, there's a hard copy available here at the library on Kauai CC's campus, and I'm sure you could find it online as well.
Yeah, you can still order it online. I remember Thomas found it at the airport in Honolulu, and we're like, wow, okay.
Nice, that's sick.
Like I said, it's still sinking in, even though it's been published and everything. It's like, are you sure? Because I wrote it for a grade.
Well, listen, you've made Kauai proud with that for certain, and it's an amazing accomplishment. And I totally get that it can take time to sink in, but pat yourself on the back for that one. That's a win.
It is. It's just like I said, it's still surprising because, one, it's written in heavy pigeon. And as people can hear, I'm not speaking heavy pigeon or even light pigeon. It was like, I don't know about this. And they're like, no, it's fine. Are you sure? I think that's been my question the whole time. Are you sure?
Sharla, like I said, it's an amazing accomplishment, and sometimes the best things in life you're not sure of, and they just kind of happen, and you navigate with it. Right?
No, that's exactly it. It happens, and whether you're ready for it or not. You know, I've heard from other people, like, they've submitted before and have been rejected. And this was my first piece submitted, and it was accepted. And I was like, wow.
Nice.
Okay.
Wow. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So, what else is going on? What's next for you, Sharla?
I'm, gone from bachelor's, so now I'm in a master's program.
Nice.
And I have to write this down because it's such a long-winded title. It's the master's program, UHWO's master program in educational foundations with a specialization in global perspectives on educational policy and practice, which when you narrow it down just comes down to, I'm going to learn how other people learn.
Okay.
And that's so much shorter and neater and, you know, explains things better, but that's what it is. It's like, well, with the math class, they were teaching Singapore math, different ways to multiply. And for me, it was like, hey, wait, that's pretty neat that other people learn differently. And so this whole program is about that.
Nice.
It's like, okay, we're going to learn.
Very cool. And what's the goal after that? Do you still want to be an advisor, or what's the goal?
still want to be an advisor, still want to be a tutor, which is like, okay, wait, you can only work in one office. So it's, yeah, taking things as they come, but I have accepted position as a writing tutor, and we'll see if and when the advising opens up, I'll go for it and see what happens.
Congratulations. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah. I didn't, when I first started as a math tutor, I never thought I'd end up here. I was like, hey, okay. Isn't
it funny how, like, when you start here at KYCC, you don't really have an expectation of, okay, what am I going to do next? What's the end goal? And then it kind of just happens. One day you find yourself and you're a senior at West Oahu, or you're a senior at Manoa, or you're a senior at a school on the continent. It's important to, like, take a step back for a moment and reflect on that.
No, it totally is. Like I said, when I started here, I had no idea what I wanted to major in, but I figured, well, staying home won't solve that question. So let's get in there, get your core requirements, and figure it out. And so I took, a bunch of different courses. And who knew ending up as a math tutor would be the one that would, like, oh, okay, this is where I want to go.
So, with that, do you have any parting words of wisdom or advice that you would like to leave with our listeners?
Don't be afraid to fail. And I don't mean like, you totally bomb your course, but we get so hung up on getting straight A's that even if we get a 90, it's like, oh no. But understand that what you're doing is a learning process. You're going to learn things faster than others. You're going to learn things slower than others. So don't be afraid to, have those missteps. Expect a misstep, if anything. I had that wake-up call, and at the same time, I was like, man, I'm going to fail. And it's like, no, let's, try and talk myself through this. It's like, okay, look, we can survive this. And that's what it is. It's like, I think we get so hung up on perfection that it's like, well, it's not about perfection. It's about learning. Let's focus on that.
It's great advice. Sharla, this was a great episode. Thank you so much for coming on. You're going to inspire so many students with this. And yeah, congratulations on all of your achievements, from graduating from West Oahu to being published to getting accepted into a master's program. It's all great stuff. And as a friend, I can't wait to see what the next few years bring for you.
Me too. I'm sure it'll have its share of surprises.
Absolutely.
So, thank you.
Aloha and welcome back to Transfer Talk. Today we're sitting down with a very special guest, Athena Manipon Hamada. If you spent any amount of time here on KYCC's campus, you'll know Athena. She's a pillar of our community. From Waialeale to the maintenance department, Athena is a rock star. This past May, Athena graduated from UHWO Oahu with a bachelor's in psychology. Congratulations, that's an awesome achievement. And mahalo for coming on the podcast. The listeners are going to love this. So, let's start off with an easy question. How are you, and how's your summer going?
Oh, it's going uphill or downhill. It's going somewhere. Honestly, I feel so cathartic after finally getting my degree. The weight of the world is off my shoulders. I feel so accomplished in myself, especially knowing my background, and trying to get a psychology degree was something I couldn't even dream of. But now I'm able to say, like, I went to school, I got multiple degrees, and I have my psychology degree.
That's awesome. And, I know Kauai is very proud.
Hopefully.
So you ready to jump into our first question?
Sure.
Awesome. When we had your brother Anagen on the podcast, he mentioned that both of you were involved with the Waialeale project.
Yes.
Can you share with us a little about your work with them and what inspired you to help students navigate their academic journey?
Well, when I first started going to school, I started in culinary, and it kind of gave me a sense of I want to help people. But before that, I never thought I was going to go to school. So I really didn't think my life was going to go anywhere. Especially as a teenager, you feel like the world is collapsing in on you and you don't know what you want to do when you get older. I didn't think I was going to go to school. But through some workings of the universe, I got into Waialeale as a program. And going through the first year, going through my first degree, I was like, okay, I feel emboldened to try more because of the mentors that I've had before with the program. And it helps people from all different backgrounds. But we try to help people this is their first time coming to school, or this is their first chance ever coming to school, and it gives them the chance to push through the boundaries or the barriers that they call them that keep them from coming to school. So empowering our Kanaka community, people in low-income communities, even people who have gone to jail or are in drug treatment, it gives them an opportunity to come to school. I fell into one of those categories, not necessarily the drugs, but the people who never thought they were going to come to school. I really got a golden ticket to come to school. I used it. I really liked how my years went as a student, and I wanted to give back after I finished my culinary degree. So I became a mentor, and I was kind of lost at that point because I did culinary school. I did well, and I got my certificates and degrees, but I'm like, I don't necessarily want to do this for the rest of my life. I liked cooking. I was good at it, but I was like, I don't know if I want to do this forever. I joined as a mentor. I got hired, and over the years, I was able to help so many students, help build the morale of the students, telling them my story, like, hey, I came from nothing. I came from having to take care of my siblings, having to worry about paycheck to paycheck, what are we going to eat, how are we going to live? And now I'm able to give that security and that kindness to people who deserve it and need it. They always say when I worked in Waialeale that we attract certain kinds of mentees. Mentees would come to me, and the kinds of mentees that I have were like they needed a mother figure. They needed somebody to take care. So I would love to do that to people, take care of them, help them as much as I can, and kind of just push them to do their best. And not like push them in front of me, but I would walk with them to their success. I think that answers your question.
Yeah, that was great. And we've had a few students from Waialeale on the podcast, and I personally am friends with a few students that have gone through the program. And it's always just absolutely amazing to hear the stories and the transformation. And the work that is done over there is just top notch. It really is. I love to hear those stories.
Oh, yes. We really try. When I was working at Waialeale, we as mentors and even like the program coordinators, that program is something that I never thought would exist. And even now, it's like a miracle that it exists because they offer so much support to everybody, anybody who comes through the doors. Originally, it was really just focused on the students, but now they service so much of the campus. They did food pantry, they did lineal computers. They help with everything that could possibly come up with a student. And I really was so attached to that program and so happy to give so much to the program.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love it. So you mentioned that you were originally in culinary and then you decided to pivot, right?
Yes.
So when thinking about the decision to transfer over to UHWO, what made you decide on psychology? What drew you to that program?
I usually do things on like that feels right inside. After doing the mentoring thing for like I did it until I got my associates. And then I was like, okay, girl, you got to get it together. You got to figure out what you got to do. So I really focused in on like, okay, what do you want to be doing for the rest of your life? Or what do you want to do? What makes you happy? What brings you joy? I Marie Kondo'd my life. I chose helping other people, especially helping them with issues, problems that they may have, things that they may fix. I thought maybe social work or psychology. And my mom works at Child and Family Services, and I saw a little bit of social work, and I was like, girl, I don't think I can do that. But I know I can do psychology. And going into it, I was like, I think I can do this. I know I can do this. But something was telling me, keep going, stick with it. And I did. And over time, I'm like, I love this. I appreciate, and social workers do so much for the community. I appreciate them, but girl, that's not, that is not my journey. That is for somebody a little bit more stronger mentally than me. I need something where I can help an individual focus on certain areas of their life and really build on the skills that they learn over sessions or things like that.
That's actually a great transition to our next question. And it's kind of a tough question, but I feel like students can get some really important insight from it. So is there anything that you would have done differently, or is there anything that you wish you would have known during your first semester at UHWO?
My life philosophy is like, if this didn't happen, then I wouldn't be the person that I am now. If I didn't go through all the little steps, all the little like ebbs and flows of life, I wouldn't have come to the decision like, I want to help people, but I don't want to forget myself when I help people. That balance led me to I know I can help people, but I cannot give myself fully to people. So psychology was the next step up. I wouldn't necessarily change anything. I would take it easier first semester. Don't take 12 credits at one time if you don't need to. But if you need to for financial aid purposes, that I get. If you can like kind of chillax and get into it, girl, because it's going to be a long ride, but it's going to be a well worth it one. And I will say this as a little nugget, focus on APA format and not MLA, because that was the whole first semester. We had a whole class dedicated to this is APA, use APA. And we did like a whole unit on it. And still we were like, you didn't cite it in APA.
There's a lot of great stuff that you just mentioned. First up, everything in life happens for a reason, right? Second, take it easy. Get a feel for it. You don't have to dive headfirst in. You can figure things out. Take your time. It's not a rush. And then lastly, and I relate to this 100%. So I'm in history, right? And history uses Chicago Manual of Style.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Oof.
So here at KCC, we only really get exposed to MLA.
Yep.
So you gotta figure out what citation method you will be using and go from there. Take your time, learn the mechanics of it, get a feel for it before you have multiple papers due at once, right?
Oh, yes.
Awesome. That's some great stuff, Athena. So next up, are there any memorable classes or professors? What would make it into your highlight reel, or who do you want to give a shout out to?
I want to give a shout out to Miss Tiare. She taught our Pidgin language class. That class was so fun. I always say I'm multilingual because I can speak Pidgin, I can speak English, and I can speak LGBTQ vernacular because there's so many different... Pidgin language is so different from everything else. And going through that class, I thought, oh, okay, girl, we're going to just write like whatever comes to our mind. When we did the class with Tiare, it showed me like, oh, each island has a different kind of vernacular that they use. They have different signal words. They have different meanings with words depending on how they're used in a sentence. So taking that class was fun and it was hilarious sometimes. I feel like she's a stand-up comedian and she gonna tell you straight. She gonna be like, girl, you need to get it together because this looks like gibberish, even to me. And I teach Pidgin language class. Having her as a professor was amazing. And any of the professors, I think I got lucky because majority of my professors, they're all fabulous. I would go through these phases of, I have all my stuff together. I have everything. I'm cool, concise, and calm. One small thing would happen, like you step on a pebble and like, girl, I think I'm going to fail. I don't know if I can get through this. I don't know, girl. And me and my best friend took all of our classes together. We got the same degree. And I'm like, girl, it's 12 o'clock at night, mind you. I'm like, girl, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know, girl. What if we just work at the school? What if we just work at the state? What if we become grocery baggers at Costco? I know they get good benefits, girl. You think it's worth it? She's like, no, we got to stay in school. We got to get our degrees. I'm like, why? But having our professors and really communicating with them, they were like, no, you're okay. You're good. You can still pass. You're not going to like fail. I'm not going to fail you. I'm here to help you and help you to your goal. Because of the way I was brought up, I'm used to just thinking the worst. But the professor is really like, no worries, girl. Just take a breather. Relax. If you need a day off, just don't look at your work. Relax and come back to it. Zoom call me, especially because we're distance ed. I was like, I'm going to fail. They're not going to be able to Zoom or something. But they're like, no, just Zoom me. Zoom me. We'll meet. We'll do the assignment. I'll kind of work with you and then we'll get you on the right track. I was like, thank you so much. But that all of the professors, I tip my hat to you because I cannot thank all of them enough. I should have wrote down a list of all the professors. All psych professors, we appreciate you. We care about you. Good luck, honey.
Nice. That's great to hear. That's great to hear that you had that support system. And I had a class with T.R.A. Picard, and I would definitely agree. Stand-up comedian professor, 100%. For all the listeners, if you have the opportunity, take one of her classes, 100%. Yes. All right. So are there any unique graduation requirements for psychology? What should students thinking about psych be aware of?
I would say graduation requirements, we all have to do our capstone. Capstones are something that's for me especially, I thought, girl, I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know. And our counselor, very sweet, but she's like, okay, think of what you want to do before your capstone. Figure out what you want to do. I'm like, girl, I don't even know what I want to eat for lunch later on today, let alone what I want to do for my capstone. When you get to your capstone class, it's not such a scary thing because they break it down for you. I had step-by-step instructions from my instructor, and he was super amazing. He it was really spaced out too. We had an entire semester to write one paper and do a survey and all that stuff. But I would say, think of what you like. Think of things that you would want to write a 30-page paper about. Even if you don't know 30 pages worth of stuff, Google it. Look up anything and everything. For example, I did my capstone on makeup because as a trans woman, you learn very quickly that you have to kind of femme it up a little bit. And to be safe in society, you got to make sure that you're appealing to a lot of people. So I learned how to do makeup at an early age, and I also work as a drag queen too. I pack it on. I call it my bondo because it's not really makeup, it's like sealant. But I wrote my capstone on the application of makeup and how it makes people feel, especially with sight, because there's especially for me, when I put on the makeup, I'm like, oh, I can conquer the world. I'm good. All the anxiety is gone. The crick in my neck is gone. I'm like, oh, I stand with my head held high. Yeah, just think about what you really, really want to write about.
Nice. I think that's great advice. And your project sounds really interesting and amazing, and I would love to read it if you still have it. Yeah,
I think so. It's probably in Google Drive.
Yeah, send it to me. I'd love to read it.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. All right. So I like to end these segments with a final kind of open-ended question. Do you have any parting words of wisdom or advice that you would like to leave for incoming psych students?
I have words, not. I would say, as overwhelming as it gets, break things down into smaller pieces. When I did math, and I was in special ed math for majority of my life, I always was told break things down so it doesn't look so difficult, and I apply that to my life. So you get a syllabus in the beginning of every class detailing all your assignments, everything, due dates, all that stuff. Break it down. Make a schedule. As corny as that sounds, make a schedule any way you want, even if it's just jotting down what you have to do for the week on a post-it note. Make something to kind of keep yourself grounded. Oftentimes we can just get lost in our studies. Make sure you keep yourself grounded, keep yourself together, because you don't want to be in a position where you're in the middle of the sea and you're kind of just keeping your head above water. Have somebody or some place that you can just be yourself, relax, and kind of detox. You are working extremely hard for your degree, and we see that, but you cannot lose yourself within your studies. You gotta remember, I'm a person. I deserve to go out. I deserve to have fun. I deserve to be a whole individual. I think just keep with it. It's a very detailed oriented degree. So I would say take your time, take breathers when you need, be very detailed with what you want. And psychology is a degree that is applicable anywhere and everywhere. Everywhere is looking for psychology or psychologists. Especially in Hawaii or Kauai, girl, we heard it. We need it. And mental health is, I feel, one of the largest fields that people can go to, because you can be a mental health nurse where you deal with people in psychiatric hospitals, or you can be just a therapist if you go for your doctorate and stuff like that. You can take patients, you can talk story, you can help people work on different little aspects of their life. So keep with it, honey.
That's great advice. And I think I better listen to you as well with the whole work-life balance thing, because I definitely struggle with that. So yeah, Athena, this was a great episode. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I know the listeners are going to love this. Yeah, you've made Kauai proud. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I try.
Mahalo for listening to Transfer Talk. The views and opinions shared by the hosts and any guests are solely theirs and do not reflect the views and opinions of UHWO or Kauai Community College as an institution. If you enjoyed listening to this episode of the podcast, please like, share, comment, and check out all the other episodes. Aloha.